Hello everybody, welcome to my next podcast when I interview successful entrepreneurs, successful businessmen, successful celebrities. And today I wanted to present to you Walter Urs Schmid. Walter Urs Schmid, success by communication, sales and communication expert and coach. Increase your communication skills massively and close more deals. Welcome, Walter Urs Schmid.
Appreciate it from your side. Thank you.
Walter, can you tell us a little bit about you? How you become so successful to this day and how you was before? Because you don't come from the wealthy family, are you?
No, I'm definitely not. I came from an absolutely normal family, growing up just like the average in Switzerland. Of course, struggling all the time here and there. In school, not so much like sometimes otherwise, but absolutely, yeah, that's where I come from. And when you talk about success, there I have divided as well that success is not only money. There are also people who are very successful, extremely successful, who have no money at all, which are also famous on this world. And just mention Gandhi. He is one of those guys, he never reached out for money, even though he has a lot. That's not only my guess, that's obviously the case. But it's not about the money only, it's about having a fulfilled life. And my experience is that in the regular working daytime, when I used to be employed, I grew up like most of the people here. They go to school, they make an apprentice, or they study some things, they go into a company, being employed, have their security, have their money, have their holiday, and an average life. Now, here kicks it in what it is the difference to have a purpose in life and also to be aware what purpose that ones have. And this is different as well. So there are different ways on how to become successful with money, with little money, with no money. It depends on the reference that you take on and also the focus that you have, and also on the definition, what it is to be successful. It is something that I figured out in my last 10, 20 years as well. What is important for life, in my life, for the environment, the world, for the society, and what is it that I want to bring into the society? What can I bring and I want to bring on the table that brings value for others? That was my focus. And on the journey, as you mentioned, J.T. Fox, I met him. He is, I would say, one of the most prestigious and one of the best coaches that I ever met. He's very straightforward. He's very hard, but for a reason. Because in my experience as well, I was many times so lazy and just laid back somehow. And I thought, well, that's the life, but it isn't for me. That can be different for everybody. But success as such is a question also of definition.
Okay. Not only you, me too, everybody. This is what reason I'm do this podcast, because we are normal people. So we're coming from normal family, from blue collar. So my parents also, they were normal parents. Now then you become, like this kind of a level, then you like was in some kind of bubble. And then and next question is about this bubble. When you understand when you are in the bubble and you wake up and start to think, okay, it's not going to be my life like this. I need to explode, more, go outside, because it's something must to be better life outside the bubble. Where is start you when you wake up and start to like switch, and you must to go out from your bubble and go forward and follow your dreams. When it start for you?
Well, I would say it has two sides from my side as well, which is one is when I started to go out and this unconscious, and when I became conscious that I wanted to get it out and also did it. It started when I made the apprenticeship as a cabinet maker, a carpenter, very regular job, a nice one, by the way, because it's handcraftsman, and I still like to do that sometimes here and there in my hobby time. But even there, while I studied and trained that profession, I realized it's not that thing that I want to do. It didn't fulfill me, not at all. So I was already by then clear in my mind that I needed change, but I had no idea what. So what I did, I was watching what else is in this area, in this world around, available, possible to do. And because I grew up in a regular, normal family, my view was pretty narrow. It was not broad enough. So clearly I ended up in the next job. It was the police force. I joined the police force. I had a goal to be there on the lake police, something like Miami Vice. That was in my mind. And I actually got it. I came there. It was fun. It was good. It was hard sometimes. I saw things that nobody should see. But it also trained me in my mentality on how to behave on critical situations. And for another reason, which I didn't know by then, I studied as well psychology beside the job as a police officer, it helped me a lot in different difficult situations to get out in a way that my mental health was not harmed, which is pretty important. Nowadays, I see it a lot of people, they're struggling, not because of physical circumstances, but rather than for mental circumstances. But I knew as well, but that is not the end of the line in my life. I set my goals, but I will say maximum 10 years at the police force, and exactly 10 years after I started, I quit their job. I went out to the field, actually almost the first time, because as a cabinet maker worked only 2-3 years in the market out there. I went to the police force. So in the police force, you are sort of safe. You don't have to really take care on jobs or on actions you have to do because they tell you what you do. So you get trained, even become more narrow. And that didn't work out with me somehow. And when I went out, interestingly enough, I went into the military weapon industry. So one of my clients was the Swiss military and also other militaries around in Europe. And that gave me another insight of what is sales. What is it about having somebody across a table where you have to sell some things that is completely different than anything you know? So there was also the situation that I needed to figure out, how do I act with those people? What is it that I need to find as a red button to make them to make the sales? And by that time around, I also entered into the yachting market, the super yacht market, by coincidence, which coincidences doesn't exist, but somehow it happened. And then it started that journey within the yachting industry. Even though I worked sometimes in other jobs or other activities, I still kept my feet into the yachting industry because I'm something like, I became a victim of luxury, sort of, because I like it. I don't want to live in this society directly. It would be, for me, too much. And the thing is, to be there sometimes, to have connections, that opens up other doors. I figured out in that time, in this journey, that my ability to connect with everybody, it doesn't matter if they are an employee, if they are high earners, if they actually own companies, or millionaires or even billionaires I met and I connected with them. And by that time first, I didn't realize, how did I do that? I had no idea. Later on, I started to study myself, my behavior. What was it? How am I? And that was a long journey to figure out, who am I? Who is me? Which is very important, because otherwise I'm starting to play a game and being somebody else, which is a role model eventually, and that's not me. Authenticity will completely disappear, and that's not the good thing. So I needed to figure out what is it, and what maybe technique or strategy or behavior did I have to become able to connect so easily with almost everybody. And that was the key to make a turnaround in my direction where to go. So I decided the right way for me is communication. That's why also the title Success by Communication, because it covers everything which is regarding communication. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And also, I wanted to share, also in my site here, you have two books. The Walter Urs Schmid. So one of the super yacht sales, and you ask me why about the super yacht sales. Can you tell us about a little bit your work, what you're doing, and what kind of business you are?
Well, the book came out because I realized by observation, communication, discussion, negotiation, that one of the main problems that exists are not the sales processes as such. They still work, but the communication within the process. So people become not really aware sometimes how they are and how they act and react and talk to people or listen, because understanding means you have to listen. And listen means not just to hear something, so you have to get it, what has been told. So the interpretation of a word, of a sentence, has to be very clear for you. And that's actually the reason why I wrote the book. When I wrote the book, by that time, I was not aware that there is no such book on the market, even nowadays not. Because there's no book that writes about the communication within a communication. And I came up with that idea based on all these discussions I had also with one guy from the super yacht industry. He told me after we went through the content of the book that they leave roughly 50 to 80 million on the table every year because of bad, weak internal communication. Not even the sales part is mentioned by that. So it became clear to me that this might be a very good book that helps out to understand what the communication within the communication is, or within the sales process. And this is what I'm doing. I'm helping people to become better, not speakers, not keynote speakers, but communicators. I don't know, have you ever thought about what's the difference between a good communicator or a good speaker? Have you asked yourself once what the difference might be?
Yeah, the difference, I think, in the speaker, when you speak something, you talk stories. But communicator, you're actually connected with this person exactly when you wanted to sell something or them in the process. Because what you do, it's you are closer. You are close the people. You close the high tickets.
It was an idea years ago, but it's not what I wanted. What I want is to help and support the yacht brokers to sell better. And if you would say, well, I want to buy a yacht with you, I could guide you. I could actually be your trustee between the broker, the seller, and the buyer's owners. It depends what structure it is, because I know pretty much what is to do, because I used to be 2 years involved in the sales as well and the acquisition in the super yacht industry, and just figured out that's not what I want to do, because also as a broker, you're running around the whole year long from one show to the other show. You're always on the yachts or in the yachts or around the yachts, and I didn't like that too much. What I like is to help them to sell better, to be more precise in the process, in communication, and also to understand what the client really wants. So rather to sell gadgets, features, or abilities on a yacht, it goes more into what is the purpose behind the purpose of a client to buy a yacht or a specific yacht, that the help, the support becomes much more accurate.
Okay.
So, and this is something you don't get typically in trainings, because they are used to train and focus on the regular, well-known sales processes, which works as well, but obviously it could be better.
So you actually coach all the brokers who get going for high ticket clients. Actually, it's impressive because everybody need to get some coach. So your personal coach, unbelievable. So, and can you tell us what biggest sale you did in your company?
Well, the biggest sale that I've ever did in that company, where we used to sell yachts as well, was 84 million, which we did it as a group, a small group. But what was the most attractive sales for me personally was when I was by myself, solely within a company, to sell ammunition and weapons, because they tried to force me to do everything alone with the clients, which is obviously not the case when you work within a government's process. But I closed there at 46 million plus a 12 million yearly sales on an army from another country, to a very high price compared to what was expected. And then the people asked me, how did you do that? Because I was not by myself, and on the other side of the aisle there were 3 people from the government, and I needed to convince them why they should buy the most expensive products that they can get on the market. And I figured out what is the red button, and the same is it that I do nowadays. I've tried to find out what is the red button, or what are the red buttons, because sometimes there are more than one. And then I'll take those to use them to bring at the end the highest possible value for the client. So it's not about that I want to sell the highest ticket or the making biggest amount in a sales. I focus on what is most valuable for a client, that he, even 1 year, 2 years, 10 years later, when he thinks back, that he realizes it was a good deal for him. Because at the end of the day, as you know, also JT Fox, it is all about relations. If you have a good relationship with your clients, they will take care of you. And the wealth comes with those people who are satisfied with you, who talks about you, who refer you or introduce you. And this is something that you need to be patient. You can take the fast track with JT, but then you have to be very close and extremely energized. And you need something like, I don't know, a source like a nuclear, this is the power plant. Or you take it a little bit slower, step by step. And there it is where I kick in with the idea to say, well, what is your speed of doing some things? What makes you happy and feel you comfortable? Because if you're running around like crazy and you don't feel comfortable, you can make all the money in the world, but at the end of the day, it doesn't make you happy, it doesn't fulfill you. Because there is a certain level when you have a certain amount of money, it's not about getting money to survive, because you can eat only a few times a day. But then it becomes more like a game for you, which also is, from JT's perspective, it's a game where you want to win the game, not because of the money, because of the process. But there is also the opportunity or the option that people say, well, I want to be successful in my way, that I can say every time, whatever I did, I'm completely fulfilled. Because when I die, I cannot take the materialistic things with me. I can leave them wherever they are. But the feelings, the experiences that I have, which are immaterial, those are now to me the important values in life. The money is a tool to use different things that you cannot use if you don't have the money. And as more money you have, obviously, as more you can buy and create some things, but also there is a risk within, which a lot of people don't see. And I make them aware as well, when they become more and more successful, that they don't lose the connection to, to the ground somehow.
Interesting. So, ladies and gentlemen, we have here a real deal. So everybody need coach. And that's what reason you have here also, so they can contact everybody with Walter if you need some coach, so he can coach you. Also, this is next my question: who coaches? Because everybody need coach. Who do you coach, Walter? Can you tell us?
Well, I actually have 3 at the moment, which one is in Austria, one is in the US, and one is, I came actually from Canada, and is now sometimes in the US, sometimes in the UK. So there are 3 at the moment, actually 4. One in Switzerland, but this is another kind of coach.
No names, no nothing. So we keep it in the secret.
No, the point is that, secrecy to me, I don't care what names there are if I talk to somebody, because also to my clients, I guarantee secrecy. As a former police officer, it became very aware to me that it makes sense to not spread out too much information, especially if everybody can see, hear it. That's something that is based on relationships. And also another billionaire that inspired me very, very much to go for the second book, Communicate with Relevance, because he has a program, it's called Rich with Relevance. And that program brought me to the idea that it's nice, rich with relevance, whatever it means. It was explained in the program, but also communicate with relevance, as most people that I know in my environment, they just talk, they mumble around, spreading words all over their place with no relevance. And that's no value. That's wasting time, not only for the speaker, for those who speak, but also for the listener. It's wasting time. And time is the most valuable asset that we have in life. We cannot go backwards. We cannot speed it up. We can actually use it correctly for us, for each individual, which is different. Or we can waste it on spending to some things that doesn't bring me further. And that's not the way to go. In my perspective, that's why also my clients are trained and are coached to take that part as well into consideration, which is not only the yachting industry. There is also a company in Switzerland that I coach. A second will come in Switzerland next year. And in Dubai, another company has been built this month, which I will be there in January. So there are different angles, but my core is always communication, and it will remain communication.
Thank you for sharing this information. I don't know about the listeners, but I'm learning actually a lot. I'm so curious, and I have some questions. I start now also my company, and I have a lot of questions. And actually, I'm like Bob Sponge, and take it all information what I can for me also. So this is actually a nice interview, and yeah. But next biggest value in your life, and if it's it's coming, what you can change it for avoid this?
But my biggest failure was to believe too much. Even people that I knew, or I thought I know them, very close people. And I was lucky in actually 2 situations, because I was aware enough on the contract. Otherwise, I would have lost a lot of money. I was lucky by that. But believing is one of the biggest traps. I stepped into that. And in the time of being coached, having some experiences as well, I realized how I can avoid it. And this is just not only the due diligence, but to ask myself first, when I get an opportunity, is it really what works for me? And I'll take my time. So if somebody comes to me and say, hey, I have a great idea, there is a business, let's do it, here's the contract, let's go forward, because we cannot miss time. I say, well, hold on, calm down, give me the contract, I will go through it. When I'm done, I'll send it over to you, and then we can the next step. Even though if it's someone I know maybe for 10, 20 years, or even a family member, I don't make a difference anymore. It's not to blame them, but they are also very much blinded by opportunities. And when I once step into that trap again, and I realize it by being just aware enough what I'm doing or going to do, and also I'll take my time. It's always the same thing. Take a deep breath, calm yourself down, make your head clear that your thoughts can really work properly. And of course, ask your coaches what the situation is. Maybe even sometimes better before you make a decision, make a call. Tell them, look, that's what it is. What do you think? And then you make together a picture. It's like a puzzle. And if all the puzzles are on and it looks good, then you move forward.
Yeah, everybody have failure. So because I think one thing, because when you ask any successful person, entrepreneur, if you make a mistake in your life, and who say they don't did any mistakes, that means so they don't accomplish nothing. Because I know for my experience, also all who I interview, be around the successful entrepreneurs, they get value in the way, then created wealth, then created value for this company, for make it come true their goals. And this is actually true. So this is real life. Some listeners maybe started now and they think it's gonna be rich. It's only for people who's become from wealthy family. Is not, because a lot of people who you see around, they have money or have created wealth. It's coming not from generation. It's they become wealthy. They working a lot for this. And this is how I understand, because everybody who I meet, they become wealthy. They become 8, 9, 10 figure entrepreneurs. And these people, what they don't understand, and this is what I do this podcast. This is what I'm do. This value provide for the people, so can understand. So you can do also if Will Smith become who is, if JT Fox become who is, if Stallone become who is, Walter Urs Schmid, so in successful entrepreneur here, become who is now, is because of the work and hard work, and in the way then you go build this your goal, your wealth, forever what your goal is, what your dream is. You're gonna find in the way some mistakes. You're gonna make it mistakes, but if you find some people can help you in the way and cut this time, you must to be around the successful people. This is how I think. This is how I change my mind, because before I'm thinking like a average person, everybody. I think, okay, so this guy is wealthy. Because of maybe this, because of that, but it's not true. So it's actually, if you see someone successful, actually, Walter, I can tell you now, thank you for being so successful and share this information with us. When we start someone, maybe you are an entrepreneur now, but in you some kind of level, then you have more questions than you have usually before. and you cannot to grow anymore. So then it's coming person like Walter Schmid, so can be your coach. He know what he's talking about, and get service of coaches, because everybody need coaches. And if you wanted to success and grow, you need to invest in yourself. What is your biggest goal? What you wanted to achieve? How you see yourself in 3 years? How you see yourself in 10 years?
Well, how I see myself in 10 years, that's a vision, because everything else is not real. 3 years is reachable to make a vision in my perspective, because as you have seen the last 3 years, what have happened in the market, you never know what happens, is unexpected. But you can prepare yourself to every situation. And my goal is to help 10 to 20,000 companies to grow bigger and to help them to overcome issues that they have. And at the same time is to expand myself, to change also myself. So it might happen that in 2-3 years, I will be differently positioned than now, because I want to remain flexible, sort of. I don't want to be a big tanker. I want to be a speedboat. And to be a speedboat also means to not, grab one goal, one big goal, and trying to go only after that one. But the principle remains the same. So there are slightly some different, goals in between. And I said once to a friend of mine, my goal, my end goal is so big, is so huge, that I know by fact I cannot reach it. Is so big. And I just do that so big that I never will lose it out of my sight, because it's so big. I cannot miss it. So the direction is given. And within these directions, I achieve my steps. And when somebody asks me, well, what is your goal? Then I'll say it's a journey. It's the journey at the end. In the real life, in the reality, it's a journey with everything that comes up. Good thing, bad thing, ugly thing. But there is a big vision. And I hold my hands on that vision. So when I'm drowning, that I know where to grab. It gives me back a fire, even if the flame sometimes becomes small. Then it takes a small technique to grow it again and to be back on stage. Because you never lose when you never give up. So quitting is not an option for an entrepreneur, no matter how hard the time becomes, or even no matter how good the time becomes. That's also JT's vision, or the way how he works. He doesn't need to work anymore for money. He works for his passion. And that's what it is, in my perspective, for every entrepreneur. He has a passion, something that drives him. And if you have something like that, you will also never stop, because you will get bored. It is not like an employee who waits until the pension comes up. It is something that it's not work anymore at the end of the day. Even if the days are more than 9 hours, 10, 12, 13, 16 hours, sometimes even more, but it's not work. And there is also no risk of a burnout if you follow what you want to do, even with the things you have to do which you don't like, but it's part of the game too.
Yeah, exactly. It's same happened with everybody. It's like happened with me, because when I told you, I asked you about the bubble. It's same. I was in one bubble in working from 7 to 4, from 7 to 5 to 6 sometimes, and you just do it every day, same things every day, same thing. Come to home, go shopping, go home, go shopping, go work, and then you just become. This is not my life. This is cannot to be my life. It must be something else outside the bubble. And then you just become curious, and you start to push yourself, get this commitment, and start to just all TV, all this social media is just distraction, and you actually don't have a lot of information. In the school cannot teach you how become wealthy. They don't teach you about the money. So you must to become entrepreneur, curious, and start to looking this information outside. And now we have internet, so it's much easier. But be careful, because you have a lot of gurus who talk about everything, but you don't know exactly if they achieve something. So follow the people who did something in their life, and go forward. Go connect with them, make it some group of the people, start to create it, be around the successful people, and learning about everything what you do in your niche. And your niche is special niche. I don't hear it about this niche before. It's it's amazing. If you, what kind of advice, 3 advices you can give us today for everybody who listen this podcast, motivated a little bit the people, and advice from your personal life?
Advice number 1, get a coach or get coaches. Because like that, you are already surrounded with people that can bring you value. I think that's one of the most important advices. Secondly is, do not listen what other people talk about you. So that means if you do some things and people laugh about you or at you, most probably people that know you already, ignore them. Because those are not the successful people. Those are not the ones who help you. They want to destroy you. They want to hold you back from success. So whatever is necessary to do for your success, personal success, financial success, do it on advices of successful people in that niche you want to grow. And just ignore what is around you. Because those people who value you, who value what you do and support you, what you do, those are the ones you need to have. And also your environment of friendship will change forever to the good. And the last advice from my personal perspective is, to become successful, you need to have a drive inside you. You need to have an energy. You need to find the source of why you do it. So ask yourself about the question why. There are several books as well about why. And I recommend to read some of them which fits to you, and then make your own thoughts. Because if you have no why, there is no why anyway. Because
Exactly.
It's like you want to go to a cinema, but you don't know that you want to go to a cinema. You will never find it. So you have to have a why. That creates your journey and your way to go to.
Yeah, absolutely. You must to get first. You must to, like you said, you must to know how you see yourself, where you go, and then later just get commitment and start to do it. Not just thinking about the dreaming. You must to be around these successful people. You must to get commitment, and when you get commitment, then you know you're gonna be there, and you start to project it yourself, how you see yourself there, and what is gonna, who gonna help me to become very quickly to this kind of level what you could come and become, or you want it to self, so it's going to be very hard for you. But it's much easier if be around the successful people, and in the way maybe cut 10 years. And if it's something what you wanted to do, you can be around the people who did this before and get knowledge from them in the cut decades. This is how I think also. It's real deal.
Yeah, and if you're around people like JT, do not try to be like him. I think JT is one of its kind. There is only one exists on this whole planet. And it's not about being the same, but taking the advices that he gives. And some people are slower on the way. That's absolutely okay. Some people don't want to achieve that much. That's absolutely okay. But it's a good way to see how he does business, how he talks, how he negotiates, and everything that he does, because everywhere you can find nuggets that will help you, and adjust it to your journey, make it yours. Also, something that JT always says: don't copy paste, copy, adjust, and make it yours.
Exactly. Be yourself. Be yourself. Be authentic, because the people actually be around you because of you're authentic. You don't copy anyone. So this is actually, I'm agree with you.
Yeah.
And what is definition of success for you?
The main definition is to have a fulfilled life. That's the main and the core of a definition of success. But that also contains money, because a lot of people say, well, if somebody has a lot of money, he must have been a criminal or somehow won it. No, that's not the case. But money is not dirty. Money is just money. And if you can combine money and happiness, and not only wealth, but also health, that's when you are really successful. But that's my definition. And I don't keep on that definition, because every single person has his or her own definition. And based on that, a good coach, like also JT, he will address what a client really wants and not what a coach thinks or sees what the potential can be, even if he mentions it. But that's my definition.
If you meet yourself with 20 years old, what advice you can give him?
Don't study too much. Get a coach as quick as possible, and find the niche you want to go into to create your lifestyle.
Thank you. Unbelievable. And guys, listeners, so ladies and gentlemen, we have here the books, Super Yacht Sales, and we have number 2 books. That people can buy these books, both or only one?
Well, that one, the Super Yacht Sales, is on Amazon, or you can go to superyachtsalesnow.com, where you can order also a book, which the difference is, if you order it on my page, you get a signature signed from me personally. And if you get it on Amazon, you get it maybe a little bit faster, but not signed.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you very much for your time, Walter.
And by the way, the second book is in progress.
Okay.
Maybe very important to mention, I have planned to make that 3.5 years ago done. But somehow I hold back. And now, because of all that happens with those crises that happened the last 3 years, I'm very happy that I waited, because the content will change dramatically, since the communication has also changed dramatically within these 3 years. So when that book comes out, which will be next year, I don't tell you now exactly when, it will be findable in Facebook, on LinkedIn as well. I will promote that. But when it comes out, it will be, I think, in my own perspective, a masterpiece in terms of communication or communicated relevance.
But they can pre-order it. So
it can be pre-ordered. This will come out in January, February, that the pre-order can be done. Otherwise, if somebody wants to pre-order right now, it's just a direct mail to me.
Yeah. I put a mail and also link for the books. And ladies and gentlemen, it was Walter Urs Schmid. Thank you very much for being here. It was a pleasure, to meet you and know.
Thank you. And I appreciate the time and the effort that you put in. And I'm pretty sure, not only pretty sure, I'm certain that you will become very successful in your field.
Thank you.